Hello, I'm Jan Hloušek. I'm technical lead at KeenSWH. I joined the company in 2016 as a render programmer, where I was finalizing the DirectX 11 transition of the engine and the Space Engineers game. Then I moved to multiplayer programming, where we were fixing and improving the multiplayer solution that the game has, which was it's kind of like strange that render programmer does multiplayer, but it's kind of also gives different perspective to the problem. And next I did a port to Xbox, where I had a very small team of 2 other programmers. And now I'm leading the new engine, VRAGE 3, which will be used for the upcoming games of KeenSWH. Why do we use actually our own engine? Why we don't use some stock out of the box like prepared engine like Unity or Unreal? First of all, we want to have quick iterations and safety, so we opted to have C# not only for the game development but also for engine development. So most of our programmers are actually C# programmers, although there is some C++ knowledge needed because we have to interoperate with the native world as well. And I think it's a very good choice. All the other engine programmers from other companies are kind of like surprised that we are using C# for the engine development as well. But I think that actually if we can iterate and deliver the stuff faster, we can focus more on the improving the algorithms and not focus too much to the low-level micro optimizations. Another reason for having our own engine is technical features that our games need, because we have creative open world sandbox games and they need some specific functionalities. Like Space Engineers have world that spans planets, galaxies, or let's say planetary scale, and that needs special requirements from the engine to be able to operate in such large distances. Similarly, everything that we have in the world is something that players are building, and it has to be dynamic. We have to be able to build it, and of course, construct it, deconstruct it, but also destruct it. And it has to be kind of not baked or prepared from some offline generating solution like editor or something, but it has to be really dynamic, created by players. That way we need some efficient hierarchy, so we can fly with ships that are built out of many pieces, and that's something other engines doesn't support well. And of course we are looking into things like GPU-driven pipeline, which is for our next engine, not usually supported by big engines or data-oriented workflows. This decision that was made many years ago already for Minor Wars, which had C# engine, we always try to challenge it and figure out whether it's really good solution or whether there is not time to switch to some out-of-the-box solution and save some money, of course. But even this time, a year and a half ago, when we set out to build a new engine, we first took time of all the team, for half a year. We are trying all the various engines like Unity, Unreal, Unigine, and even smaller ones like Stride and Flux, and try to kind of implement those main challenging systems in these engines to kind of find out how it would work, how it would perform. And in the end, Although there were some wins, there were also quite a lot of losses where we would have to do some compromises. In the end, we kind of like weighted out pros and cons and like decided that going with our own engine is still the best option for our games. Why did we actually choose to build a new engine? Like VRAGE 2 was like very powerful engine, like and very successfully driving Space Engineers game, which is like doing very well on the market. But in the end, like the technologies were advancing, and the main issues that we kind of identified why we cannot continue with the engine and why we cannot even like do some iterative approaches, improving it and making just 2.5 or something for the future games, where like first of all we needed to rewrite the renderer. The renderer in VRAGE 2 is DirectX 11, and these days we have to just go to the DirectX 12 just for the sake of Xbox, for example, which doesn't like the new Xbox Series X, which doesn't support any lower DirectX, but also from the perspective of like performance, because render on in VRAGE 2 is CPU based. It does scaling and instancing, etc. Everything on the fly, and we have like 3 threads that are crunching every frame to kind of deliver it to the GPU, and it's like not very efficient this way. So what we decided is to build our GPU-driven pipeline, so the GPU is actually feeding itself and doing all the calling, etc. And just very little communication with CPU is actually going on, which means like taking the scene changes, like the positions, and uploading them to GPU. And just these 2 reasons were enough to build a new renderer from scratch. There was not much that we can salvage. Other than that, when we were porting the VRAGE 2 to other consoles, we found out that we were bound to cache misses a lot. It's not that much visible on PCs, but going to consoles with even like parallelizing things as much as possible, we weren't able to deliver the performance that we would like to, and just for the sake of cache misses and like too big memory access. So in the next engine we are planning to have some data-oriented approach, reducing amount of references during the frame, having data in consecutive memory, etc. And last but not least, it was entity inheritance, which was widely used in VRAGE 2, and in the next engine we want to componentize, essentially have smaller components that are building up entity out of like smaller pieces. So the next generation of VRAGE should drive obviously the next generation of Keen games, and apart from like being technically superior and having like better systems, what we are aiming for is like improving our current games in various manners, which means we want to have much more detailed planets, we want to have super granular destruction model, we want to have dynamic ray traced global illumination, and of course like many more, like improving modding support, having the editor available for the community, etc. So that will be our goal for the next 2 years to prepare the engine. For Space Engineers, the most requested feature was water. So for our next generation of games, we set out to like actually deliver it. And we didn't want to just have like usual thing that other games has, so just like static water in specific region with some shaders and rendering nicely. We actually want to have a fully dynamic water where we can change the change the terrain, and it will just gradually flow into that parts of terrain where you change it. And it kind of like reacts to all the surrounding and changes, and not only to terrain but also to grid, so you can like fill up the grid, like the ship or vehicle with the water, and you can move it around. So, and also it works like regarding physical interactions believably, so the ships can like turn into submarines and many more things. So our vision for water was and is like to have like really broad feature set, and of course it all has to work in planetary scale, so you can have like fully like planet full of water. And so we set out to kind of develop this system with those goals in mind. And we knew that it's like very ambitious goal. So we like created a small team led by Petr Minařík, which was like focusing just on the water from the beginning. Like, so right now we are a year in development or research and development of water, and there is still like lots of work ahead of us. But we of course started with researching various techniques like particle systems or various other, but we settled for the cellular automata. And I think it works well. There was a very nice stream where we showcased some implementation in 2D for now, but we are right now in the process of turning it into 3D, and essentially it all works good enough already, and now we are optimizing to make it really planetary scale. So, how does our team operate? Like VRAGE team consists of like 4 sub-teams, which is like engine part of the team, render part of the team, and then tools and the water team. Tools and water teams are led by Petr Minařík, and I'm leading the engine and rendering team. What we are how we are operating is essentially we first prepare some design while doing research and prototyping. So whenever we are implementing some system, we kind of like iterate on design, research and prototyping. Once we are fine, it kind of does things when we have a clear idea that this will work, that this is a good approach, we finalize the design, and then we set out to like actually do the final implementation, where we are already cooperating with other teams like art to kind of have also some visuals that are so it's kind of like tangible, so it's not just programmers art, having design team integrated as well, and QA. And as a team we operate on Scrum, we have regular stand-ups, and we use Discord to kind of communicate. Since we are like worldwide team, we don't have like just headquarters in Czech Republic, but all the team members are scattered around the globe. We have people from Brazil, Argentina, US, and many other countries, of course, in Europe as well. So we kind of have to be mindful about this. Our workflow is completely online, and although we are meeting a few people here in Prague offices, but that's just the minority. So in order to be able to deliver the engine, we are of course growing the team all the time, and looking for skilled engineers for both engine, rendering and console porting. We have open positions in all those fields, and we are looking for both like experienced senior positions, which would kind of level up our team, but we are also like bringing in like perspective juniors to kind of also keep our team fresh, you know, to have their fresh blood. So what we are expecting, or what we are looking for, is like curious engineers with attention to detail, good problem solvers, which are always learning new techniques. As I said at the beginning, I'm at Keen from 2016, so it's 6 years already. And why I value this company, why I am staying here. So first of all, there are no politics or toxic behavior. There is zero tolerance to this. And from the past companies I was in, I really appreciate it because it was sometimes unbearable. We are still in the team and still kind of like having getting things done spirit, which is usually lacking in many companies. And I'm also, what I really value is having ability to have open discussion. So not only me going to someone and telling him that something is wrong and we have to, and just trying to figure out how to do it better without any emotions or any like, you know, distress. Anyone can come to me and just tell me like, hey Chinda, this is really wrong. You have to redo it. But what I also very much appreciate is that compared to other gaming companies, we are really time aware. So we did not set out to do endless research or endless just, you know, preparing the engine forever. We have very strict timeline, and not only like we are preparing timeline based on like, you know, how difficult some research is, but when really implementing or researching, we are also scaling down research based on that timeline. So it's kind of like both fits, and we are able to deliver on time and release on schedule, which is very unique. So I hope this video gave you some insight into our company and our workflows. If it was interesting, check out our job page, and I will be looking forward to getting your application. See you!